cooler than Sub-Zero. Band with a dark heart and the freeze up. When I walk, so me can't ease up. So me keep me gun well grease up. When it's so naff, he louder than band speak up. Me a dark creature. When me tactics, never mean a thief up.
Hey guys, welcome to another week of J. Avenue's podcast. And this week we're going to discuss narcissism in its truest form. We're going to go over the definition because sometimes we do hear that word being used a lot in today's society, but what the heck is it, right? What is a narcissist? So we're going to go over that. We're also going to go over certain habits that the narcissist will have, how it can show up in any of your relationships, friendships, family relations, and also what you can do to help your situation if you're dealing with a narcissist. So let's get into it. First, let's go over the definition. What is a narcissist? A narcissist is described as a person who has certain qualities. So it's more of a personality disorder, and it shows up when a person thinks too highly of themselves. They usually need attention and admiration more so, and it's this belief that others are inferior. So you usually see that in the narcissist. They don't have the capacity of showing any empathy. And so those are the qualities that usually defines what is universally accepted as the definition of a narcissist. So with that in mind, let's go into their habits. Why is the narcissist attracted to you in the first place? Narcissists are very smart people. They usually target those who see the good in people, even the worst people. If you can see the good in the worst types of people, then they'll usually target you. Also, if you're overly nice, you're kind, you put other people's needs over your own, you believe in fairness, you actually act on it to the point that you kind of overextend yourself. Also, if you support the underdog, even sometimes without knowing the full story, then you'll usually be the type of person the narcissist will go after. And the reason why the person who's targeted has this people-pleasing nature is usually because it's like, you know what it feels like to be hurt. You know what it feels like not to be supported. You know what it's like not to be nurtured. You were probably raised by a narcissistic parent, or both parents probably are narcissistic. So therefore, this becomes like a norm for you, and it's a comfort zone of suffering. In the beginning of the relationship, there will be a lot of love bombing from the narcissist. Because it's kind of they're rushing you along. They want to hurry up and rush you to the point that you belong to them. So you'll see things move pretty quickly in the beginning. Like they will want to move you in quickly with them. You'll see these types of people moving very fast. Another sign in the beginning stages is that they somehow have convinced themselves that you are a great lover because of them. So this is how they kind of take credit for who you are. Like, oh yeah, I chose her, so she's great because I chose her. I did the choosing. So again, it's thinking highly of yourself, wanting that admiration for being a great selector, that you're able to choose this person. I just want to be clear, narcissists can take on any gender. It's not gender specific. And it's also can take on any title. You can have, like I said, narcissistic parents, friends, lovers, co-workers. They show up in any form because, again, it's a personality disorder. So back to the beginning, not only will they try to take credit for you being a great lover, they'll also, it's almost as if they feel as if they handpicked you and you are their chosen one. So that's usually how they operate in the beginning. Now, these type of people do have a high sense of ego, and in psychology, we normally refer to that as a grandiose sense of thinking, right? You think of yourself as this grand, high level individual, almost as if you want to be exalted, almost godlike. And so in order to protect their ego, the narcissist usually stays away from anyone who asks a lot of questions. If you are the type of person that you ask too many questions, or you ask for clarity a lot, or if you have the power to hold them accountable, they will try and stay as far away from you as possible. And let's think about parents, right? Because someone had to raise these people, right? And if you are in that power where you hold them accountable, such as a parental figure or just a family overall, you'll normally see the narcissist have a distant relationship with their family or their parents. And again, it's because they don't want to be held accountable. As far as their family life is concerned, when it comes to the people who raise them and they become adults, usually narcissists lie a lot. They've gotten to the habit of lying a lot in order to keep this high regard of themselves. In order to be admired, you have to come off almost as a perfectionist. And so they're going to do that by any means necessary, and that includes lying. So you'll see they have already taken on a habit of lying. It's almost as if it's part of who they are. So they lie about a lot of things, especially to their family or those who hold them accountable. It's almost as if their family has no idea about the kind of person that they truly are. They're completely oblivious. And even when I think about it as a parent, it's kind of hard, because if you are raising someone who is already exhibiting narcissistic behavior and you don't recognize it, just by being a decent parent or a good parent who wants the best for their children, who wants to give their kids everything, especially if you don't have anything, it's kind of like a setup to enable the narcissist. So I can't really say there's much that you can do other than to try to recognize it and maybe put the child in therapy if you start to see that, or just have them, I guess, maybe exercise more accountability with them, is what I notice in a lot of examples that I've seen and studies, is that usually the parents who are raising them, there's no accountability. There's usually a lack of discipline sometimes, but the accountability really is what you see across the board. It's kind of like they make excuses for their children, and they don't know that it's doing more harm than good. So in that case, the narcissist will continue to lie, as I've stated, and so the family has no idea who this person truly is. The narcissist is able to create this false storyline of their life. So the family will think that they're well off than they are. They'll think that the narcissist is perfect because of their lies, and this further fuels their godlike complex, because now your family is at a distance, but you can do no wrong in their eyes. So again, it's that godlike complex that you're enabling by doing that. You're also enabling their grandiose sense of self. As you're dating or dealing with a narcissist, sometimes you won't recognize the first signs until things go bad. Some of them are so great with hiding it, but when things go bad or don't go their way, that's when you'll start to see a lot of red flags. When things go bad, you'll notice things like they will most likely be the cause of things going bad, or a breakup, because maybe they'll lie, cheat, and steal, and so that could be the reason for the breakup. So sometimes it's on their end. It doesn't have to be all the time, but this is what is typical. They have already convinced themselves that they aren't to blame. However, they will say, you made me do it. Oh, you made me cheat. You made me lie. You made me steal. I had to do it. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't be able to keep you around. So again, it's this selfishness, this ego, that they're higher than, they're more superior. Their needs are more important than yours. So it's okay for me to lie to you, because if I don't, then you won't be with me, and that's what I need. So even though you need someone faithful to you, you're inferior to me. So that's kind of what's going on in their head. And out of habit, they usually delude themselves into believing their own lies. So there's really no point of even arguing with them. It comes down to your word versus theirs. So, and again, this is to protect their ego. They have to delude themselves and lie to themselves over and over, because the more that they lie to themselves, the more they actually believe it, the more they'll say it's real. This is all to protect their ego. They can never acknowledge that they are at fault or to blame for anything, because then how are they going to be admired? How are they going to be exalted if they tell you that they're human and they're able to make mistakes? They will never admit to that, because that is bringing them down, and they refuse. They can't admit to their own wrongs. Again, no accountability. It's everyone else's fault. No matter what it is, it's everyone else's fault. And if you try to suggest going to a professional for any help or just a third-party perspective, for example, like a relationship counselor, they'll object and get infuriated. But one way to combat this may be, you have to think, the narcissist is so full of themselves. So if you tend to say, hey, let's go to a counselor for us to get better, because we both can gain from this, try that statement and see, because a lot of narcissists will then use that to their advantage. It may not get them to agree with you initially, but it's good to set this kind of, I don't want to say trap, but you set this kind of environment early on, to where it's like you're setting a bait. Let's go for us. We can both benefit. And once things get too bad and you're just tired of giving them 1,000 chances, they may then like start to agree to go to counseling as a way to get you to deal with your issues and to stick it out more. So then they're able to take that bait and they will turn it on you. It's almost, they can't deny the opportunity of shifting blame. So you're setting the bait because you already are predicting, because they're very predictable. So you already know that they're going to switch it on you. They're going to flip the script and turn it into, you need help. I'll go. We're here at counseling because she has an issue, not me. I'm just here to support. And they'll twist it that way so you look like the inferior person, you look like the defective person, and anything to get them there, right? Because once you're there now, then you can then use truth, because they don't like the truth. You can then use truth and have your proof in order to change things into your advantage. That's kind of sometimes the only way to get them to see, is to have that objective third party come in as backup and say, well, yeah, she's right, you shouldn't be doing that. Because then now you've placed it in a public forum, and they hate to be publicly shamed. And even though it's not shamed, because it's them holding accountability, again, they don't like that. They like it even less if it's publicized or if someone else is aware of it. You'll normally see narcissists are more secretive. Oh, let's keep this between us. They don't like documentation or records of anything, because it doesn't let them lie. How can I have a freedom to lie if you keep tracing everything? So we have to think ahead of the narcissist. Narcissists will listen to you. They just pretend that they don't. They are listening. They pretend that they don't, but they store certain things to use it against you later, or to keep you trapped in their cycle. So you'll normally see, you'll get the feeling that they're not listening to you, but however, when you do have those arguments, you'll notice they bring up things, and you're like, oh, so you did hear me. Oh, you remember that part. Okay. So it's like this selective memory that they have. So they are listening to everything you're saying. They're just weeding it out and filtering the parts that they can possibly potentially use against you in the future. Right? So that's another thing that they do. Pretty clever. You should also, when things go bad, or as you're noticing things go bad, make them arrange everything. And they'll do so with the hidden agenda of making you look like the one who needs help. So in that same situation with seeing a counselor, fine, you pick the counselor. Let them pick the counselor. Let them pick the counselor, because they're going to do it again. You need the help. So they're going to try and pick the person who they feel is going to be on their side. Sometimes they might pick the person who has maybe the same gender, cultural background. Anyone that seems like they will favor them blindly, they will pick. Not realizing that this is a professional. And they're usually trained to be impartial. And you just play along. You play along, because again, they're arranging it. Let them do most of the talking first, and then when it's your turn, again, you spill your truth until your cup runneth over. Give lots of details to add credibility to your stories and your memories. And then you have set up a great environment for then a third party who is not biased to say, well, this doesn't sound right. And that usually works. The counselor may stop you and ask them if what you've said is true, and you will have made the narcissist at that point uncomfortable. The narcissist will be visibly uncomfortable. Most of the times they won't even speak. They will be speechless because they're enraged and they have to keep this pretense. So they may chuckle, they may laugh, or do like this, because they can't speak, because if they do, their anger will just explode. Because now here it is that they're having to acknowledge and see someone else react to their behavior. That's the trick. It's this third party, like, damn, now someone else knows my flaws. Someone knows that I'm flawed, period. How can I be exalted? How can they admire me when you're bringing me down? Even if it's for my own good, even if it's to help, they're not seeing it that way. They're seeing it as a betrayal, because here it is. Everyone is supposed to think that I'm perfect, that I know everything. And here it is, you're showing that I'm not. Or you're showing that you're the one who has more sense than I do. I don't like that. So their ego will be bruised, which is a no-no for them. Their thirst for everything will never end in general. So when you're low on energy, they will blame you and get angry and still drain the low energy that you have before discarding you or cheating and finding someone to feast off of until you get an ounce of energy back. And as soon as you get a little ounce of energy back, they'll be back to take it over. It'll never get back full again with the narcissist. And that's when you realize it's been time to leave a long time ago, and you leave anyway. Do not fall for their apologies. They're going to apologize again. They're going to go back to the beginning stages of love bombing you very fast. It's very short-lived. They will beg for your presence in any fashion. So if you were just in a relationship with them, they'll even resort to, okay, let's just be friends. Because this is their last attempt to keep your energy in their life. They need your energy in their life to suck dry in any type of form, in any way possible. Don't fall for the trap. There is no such thing as going back to friends with them, because they can't accept any boundaries or limitations of when it comes to your attention and your love. So going from lovers to friends, that's a huge jump. So there's going to be a lot of boundaries involved with that. They're not going to have access to you in the same manner as they did when you were their lover. So because of that, they will never be willing to accept the change. So it's almost kind of a waste of time to even try just being their friend, because then you have to think, what kind of friend would also see me as inferior? What kind of friend would lack empathy for me? They can't be true friends. You'll see they have, and that's another thing with narcissists, you'll see that they know plenty of people. Sometimes they could be very popular, well known. However, when you get down to the grit of it and you actually sift through and see, okay, well, let me see who's a true friend of the narcissist. There's far to none, a few to none, sorry. There's usually not that many friends that they have around them, because again, no one can know their secret. No one can know that I'm not perfect. So anybody who I have as a friend is at a distance, because they don't know anything about me, really. They don't really know who I truly am. They just know what I say, like who I pretend to be, whether it's on social media or it's somewhere in a social circle. It's who I pretend to be. That's all you need to know. You don't live with me. You have no idea who I am. You just know who I pretend to be. And that's as far as it goes, because again, like I stated before, not even their family knows who they truly are. So you'll see them have thousands of friends, but who is their true friend? Do they have any best friends, any close friends? How close are they? Does this person know everything there is to know about them? And it's usually just superficial friends, acquaintances. They don't really have any besties or anything like that. Another thing to remember when things go bad is, no matter how much they apologize, I want to come back, you must remember, once you reject them, narcissists hate rejection. So once you reject them and you reject them again, they will try and make your life a living hell. That's the next step, because they hate rejection. And how dare you reject me initially, and here it is, you're trying to reject me again. Do you know who I am? Think, high sense of self. Do you know who I am? I am supposed to be admired. I am supposed to be revered, exalted. You're supposed to want me. What are you doing? How dare you? It's insulting to them. So they're going to make your life a living hell. You will see they become very nasty, very wicked, very spiteful. Nothing is above their morals. They don't have any. They have none to very little morals. So another thing that the narcissists will do, as I stated, they're used to being liars. So chances are they have a third party involved. There is a third party involved. And the third party, especially, how do I say this? There'll almost always be a third party involved, especially if you've recognized the narcissist personality disorder and they have gotten wind of it or they know it. Because now they gotta get a head start on the next target. And they'll be trying to keep you around, absolutely, but they need that supply in some form. Because you have withheld that energy from them, you've given them boundaries, and you've restricted access because you've figured out what they're up to. So they're going to need that supply. They cannot survive without a target in some form or fashion. So if it's not their social circle, they're already looking for the next. I don't want to say victim, because I don't want to take power away from the person who's being taken advantage of. So I will say target. So you'll hear me refer to it as a target and not victim, because I feel that if you've broken free of a narcissist, you're not a victim, honey. You're a survivor and you got to keep it going. You don't need to mope around and sulk. You've been freed. So, and that's a beautiful thing. So you have to honor that and recognize that you may have made a mistake, but you've fixed that and you've moved forward. You've been lucky enough. So again, I am not going to say victim. I will be saying target.
Tell them it's an immortal combat. Only see the boy them a push up the self and I easy the dead from gunshot. Still a scheme double